Welcome back. My name is Darren Thomas, and I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, we're going to be looking at how we can approach fraud detection with unlabeled data. In other words, this is data that does not tell us where the fraud has taken place at. We don't have the actual answers or the truth, if you will. So let's go ahead and see what we can learn. Now, this is a little challenging, and we can't do everything in one particular video because the video would be too long. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to focus on determining the number of clusters that we need. And so to try to make this as simple as possible, what you do is you take your unlabeled data and you group them into various clusters as much as possible. And then once you know how many clusters you have, you look for data points that are kind of outliers from all the clusters you made. The assumption that we're approaching this with is that anything that is within inside a cluster is considered normal. Anything that is on the fringes or extremely far from these various clusters are going to be considered potential fraud cases. Now, even once you have this information, you're not done. You have to take these instances of what you think are fraud and have an expert look at them to determine for sure. So, in other words, what we're doing now is we're just trying to ground our data, if you will, to try to determine what the truth might be, but we still have to confirm this through somebody who has an expertise in whatever data we're looking at. So let's see here. We're going to start, of course, by pulling our libraries and setting up our data. And then we're going to take a look at our data. So here are the packages we're going to start with. We will add more libraries or packages in the future, but we're going to start with these. Pandas and NumPy, obviously for data preparation. Matplotlib for making visuals, and then we're going to need this min-max scaler because we have to scale our data. When you see the data, you're going to notice that they use different scales, sometimes 1 to 5, sometimes 1 to 10,000, and because of the sensitivity of the algorithm we're using called k-means, we have to make sure everything is scaled to the same values. So we're going to run this, and we're going to take a quick peek at our data. The object is called df, by the way, and we run this right here. And this is kind of what our data looks like. So you can see right here with the amounts, they're very large values compared to the other ones. Age, of course, I think it goes from 0 to 6, I believe. And then we have a lot of, it looks like almost categorical data, which again, that could be a problem in itself, but we're going to ignore that for right now. And then, of course, we have this unnamed column as well. Probably best to drop that going forward, but we're just going to practice for now and just leave that there. It almost looks like an index row, if you will. Now, what we're going to do going forward now is we're going to transform the data. So let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. And so what we're doing is we're converting all of our values here pretty much to a float type. That's what we're going to do. And then after that, we're going to, of course, have set up an instance of our scaler, and then we're going to fit our scaler to our actual data here. That's what we're going to do. And now we're going to have our scale data that we're going to use for our analysis. And so if we take a quick peek at that, we're going to take a look at it. So let me run this first, Control Enter. Now we're going to take a peek at this. And so this is kind of what our data looks like now. So you can see that all the values are pretty much close to 0, if you will, 1 to 0. Like this one is obviously 1. This one is very, very close to 0, essentially. And so we've scaled our data appropriately. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually determine the number of clusters we need, and that's going to take a lot of work here. So let's see if we can make this as simple as possible. All right, so the star of this section of the video is, of course, the k-means right here. That's what we're going to be using. And so k-means allows you to group your data based on the characteristics of the data. So I don't want to get too complicated, but it throws out a centroid, and then it moves the centroid based on how far the data points are from it using something called Euclidean distance. Again, that's something you can study on your own related to geometry. And the second one here, we're going to calculate these distances using something from SciPy, spatial dot distance, in this function here called cdist, C-D-I-S-T. So we don't know how many clusters we need, so we're going to start by setting up a for loop. So we set up this empty list right here, and then we set up our, um, our range from 1 to 10. So anywhere from 1 cluster to 10 clusters. And basically what we're doing here is we're setting up something called an elbow plot, which when we get to the elbow, that tells us how many clusters are most optimal for the data that we're using. And so we start to, of course, set up our k-means right here. Number of clusters, that's our argument. We're setting that to k, which is, of course, going to be somewhere between 1 to 10. And then we fit our model. And then we calculate our Euclidean distance. And that's what we're going to use to figure out. So the further something is away from the actual centroid, of course, that's going to affect that value and increase it. And so with the elbow plot, what happens is that after so many clusters, the benefit starts to decline. It's like diminishing returns, if you will. And so that's when you know when to stop. So let's go ahead and run this. And so you can see right here, it looks like maybe 3 clusters is most optimal. After that, the decline starts to begin strongly. Some might argue for 2, but I think 3 is a good number. And so we're going to set our clusters to 3. Now what this means is that our data is going to be put into 3 different groups. That's essentially what's going to happen. And once we have these 3 groups defined, we can start looking at the characteristics of each group, like the mean and other values like that, to get an idea of, like I said, the structure or the behavior of that data. And again, this is only the first part of what we're doing here. What we will do with these clusters in a future video is, once we have these clusters defined, we are going to then start to look for data points that are kind of far from all of the various clusters that are out there. And these might be particular instances of fraud. Now, let's take it to our next step here. We're going to go ahead and look at the cluster characteristics. And so there's several things we have to do. First, we have to specifically indicate in our k-means function here that we want to have 3 clusters. That's what we're going to do. We're telling it right here. And then right here, we're going to fit our data to these, knowing that we want 3 clusters. And then once that is done, with this line of code right here, we're creating a new column called predict, where we take the predictions from the k-means algorithm and we add them to our original data set. So now all of our data is clearly labeled. And I'll just show you this in a second. Let me just make a little space right here. And then we're going to run all of our different group by means. So we're going to group it by the amount. How much money does the average, what is the average amount spent in a particular cluster? What is the average age in a particular cluster? And what is the mean for, this is just one of our variables, travel. So let's go ahead and run this. So you can see in group 0, the average amount of money spent is 45, which is a little bit higher than groups 1 and 2, where it's about the same. Now for age, the ages are all about the same, so that means there's a good distribution of values there, probably around 3. And then for travel, ES underscore travel, it looks like only group 0 has any kind of instances of ES travel. Now I also want to show you real quick what the data looks like. And so we're just going to go over here. And if you see off to the far right, we have a column called predict. These are all of the values that our k-means algorithm has predicted. So assuming that there are 3 clusters, it's saying that this example right here should belong to group 2, whereas these values down here should belong to group 0. That's what's happening there. Now we're almost done. We got one more trick, it looks like, and we're going to make a quick visualization. This is just another way to explore the data. Now, one thing I need to also mention is that this is not an exhaustive analysis of the characteristics of the various groups. As you can see, we have way more variables that we could group by to kind of get an idea, but we just did these 3 to give you a quick snapshot. You could be much more extensive in that if you so desire. Now, for the visualization, here's what's going on. We are making a dictionary right here called clust_map. And so what we're telling it is that for 0 is going to be group 0. If there's a 1, it's going to be group 1. So this is a dictionary that we're making. Then we're making a new column called PERF, excuse me. And so what we're doing is we're mapping our values from our clust map to our actual data. So what's going to happen is that wherever it sees a 2, it's going to make a new column. And in that column, PERF is going to call it group 2. Wherever there's a 0, it's going to make a new column in the same new column called PERF and call it group 0. We're just kind of renaming them. This is for interpretation purposes. Now we're also making another dictionary where we're going to be mapping our various groups to colors. So if it's group 0, it's going to be color Y for yellow. If it's group 1, it's going to be color R for red, etc. Now we actually make our plot. And so for our plot, we got to make another for loop, if you will, where the color is going to be based on this guy right here. Okay. And the cluster, this is just our argument for the actual loop. And then we actually set up our actual plot right here. So PERF, that's what we made right here. It's going to be the same as clus. That's going to be this guy right here. And then we're making a scatter plot. X is going to be amount is going to be our x-axis, and age is going to be our y-axis. So we're comparing the amount they spent to their age based on the group they belong to. That's what's happening there. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right. So as you can see here, group 2, most of their values are lower, and the people tend to be, I guess you could say, almost younger, maybe like younger accounts, since this is based off of credit card, made up credit card data. Group 0 tends to have, which is the yellow, tends to have higher values for the most part, so higher values, but it's pretty spread out evenly among the different ages. And of course, group 1 tend to have medium values and is also relatively spread out. Now, this makes complete sense because if you remember, the ages were about the same. So they all had an average age of about 3. That is why all these data points based on color are clearly spread out pretty well. Like we don't have all of like group 1 like in like age 1. They're pretty spread out across the colors here when you look at it from the y-axis. Now, where's the difference at? Our difference is going to be found in the amount spent. Group 0 on average spends more money compared to group 1 and 2. Now group 0 is the yellow, and you can see the yellow tends to be way over here to the right on the x-axis. There's not a lot of low values down there. And so again, you can kind of see how we're making a picture of things we already kind of knew intuitively based on just looking at the summaries. That's what's happening. So now in the next step, which will be in a future video, we know that 3 clusters is appropriate, and we have an idea of the characteristic or the traits of this data. And what we're going to do now is that we're going to look for values that are extremely far from the various centroids of these different groups. And like I already said several times, this might be instances of potential fraud. And that is what we're going to explore next. But before we wrap up this video, I just want to kind of summarize what we learned and conclude it. So in this video, we looked at a way that you can approach unlabeled data and try to identify what might be instances of fraud. And so in this video, we only focused on figuring out how to divide up our group into various clusters that can be used in a future analysis to determine where there might be instances of fraud. So we started, of course, with our data. We took a quick look at that right here. Then we scaled it, of course, using the min-max scaler. The data has to be scaled when you want to, of course, look for clusters because different scaling will have different influences on the output. Next, we had to figure out how many clusters we needed. We used the elbow method right here. Again, the details are right here. We did a for loop where we put the values we needed in for how many potential clusters we might have. And then we had to calculate the Euclidean distance to figure out what might be the strongest or best use of that. And so based on our plot here, it looks like 3 was a good number. From there, we looked at the actual values or the statistical traits of each individual cluster. We did that using the group by method and looking at the values here. And then last, we made a visualization of this so that we can get an idea, create a picture of what's going on. And so like I've already said several times, the next step will be to know that we need 3 clusters and to figure out what are extreme values from these various clusters. So again, I want to thank you for watching and listening. My name is Darren Thomas. I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. You take care, and I'll see you in the next one.